So, hello to the API for CICD series. It's been a long time since the last video, and today we are directly recording from the Zurich Salesforce office. So it's nice being back, and I'm here with Michael.
Hello guys, nice to be back again. Exciting for the next session.
Exactly. So in the last session, we had a look into this CICD maturity model. Now in the next few sessions, we're gonna build up an entire CI/CD pipeline with Git Actions. And now in the first session, the goal will be to check out the branch. So it will be the main branch on Git. We will build the Mule application then with the Maven plugin, and we will deploy it to one dev environment on Cloudhub. That's going to be the first step. Maybe we will also build and deploy it then to the QA environment, but let's focus on the first an environment which is dev. Exactly. And now Michael will try to set up everything ad hoc. So I will try to explain all the different steps. I already provided him one snippet where we will take the code out of it. And he has already built one basic application with Mule. So Michael, you can maybe start with the Mule application and quickly show what you did there or created.
So I have built a really simple MuleSoft application with a simple interface of just a listener that listens on port 8081/API, and we will give back a hard-coded message, which is hello world. So nothing special, just a simple application. I have added also some environment properties here inside the application, which we will not use now in the current session. We will use it when we start working on a more mature CI/CD pipeline. So for now, we will ignore that in the first session. And yeah, it's just a simple application. And I think something that I also wanted to mention is that, I have never worked with Git Actions before. I've used many other platforms, so this will be interesting for me as well. So happy that Andreas will guide me through Git Actions today. So I will learn something, you will hopefully learn something, and let's make it happen.
Yep, so let's start. One of the most important things is the POM file in our Mule application. And we're going to use the MuleSoft Maven plugin in order to do the first deployment. And we won't be using Git Actions now in the first step because we only want to check if we are able to deploy the application directly from our local computer to Cloudhub. So if you go to the snippet, Michael.
Yes, this one.
Exactly. So here are some code snippets, and we will also provide it then in our GitHub repository, so it will be available for you guys as well. And the first thing we need to make sure is that in the properties that we have the Mule runtime 440 and minimum the Maven plugin version 354. So if you can make sure in your Mule application that those versions are at least.
Yes, so we have the 3.4 Mule plugin version, app runtime 440, looks good.
Perfect. So now if you go back to the snippet, you can copy this Cloudhub deployment part. And you will be entering this Cloudhub deployment part into your POM file in the plugin section.
In the plugin section, so I guess after extensions?
Exactly. So you can add it there.
Okay, and let me clean that up a little bit. Source format. Okay, he's complaining about the Cloudhub deployment.
Yes, so one thing is missing. So in front of Cloudhub deployment, and at the end, you need to add configuration as well.
Okay. Configuration. So we have it here. Let me.
Exactly, and now you add the Cloudhub deployment into the configuration.
Back again.
Yeah.
And then let's refactor it again so that we have a better XML file. Okay.
Perfect. Exactly. So this is the Maven Mule plugin which we are using. It's called Cloudhub Deployment. And in there we have some properties already configured, which we need then for the deployment. And if we go quickly through the properties, I mean, you can see there we have the Mule version, which we are taking then from the top of the properties, which we need then for the deployment, and we need for the authentication to Cloudhub. And we will start with username and password. In a more sophisticated CI/CD setup, we're going to use the connected app. We will also implement it and show it to you how this works. We have the application name, which will be then shown on Cloudhub. We need to define also the business group where we want to deploy to, the worker size, the worker type, the number of workers, the region, in which environment. And we are taking the default timeout. So if the deployment is not successful for a certain amount of seconds, the deployment will fail at the end. In here we also have some properties configured. And I just noticed that you can basically delete them. So they are not used anymore since the newest Maven plugin. Exactly. So those you can delete. The only thing we need is the environment and the wall key if we are using it. Since we only have like a basic application, we don't have any wall key configured. So we will just leave it in there. All right. Now the first thing that we will try to do is we have now this Mule application, and maybe quickly try to run it so that we can make sure it doesn't fail.
Okay, it should have already redeployed. Looks
okay.
Let me do a short cross check by just calling localhost on 8081/API, and we have hello world.
Great. Now we will try to deploy it over the terminal. So if you go back to the snippet, you can see there we have the Maven deploy command. So we now need to quickly modify it. So in here you see the different properties which we also use in the POMF line, and it will be basically replaced afterwards. So the environment you set up on Cloudhub, what's the name of the environment there?
Mine is dev, so this is something that we can leave.
Yeah, it's in capital cases, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, I usually have a differentiation between the property environment and the anypoint environment, because just take care on like capital letters if you define it differently. Then the business group you are using.
Yes, let me get the business group so I can also maybe show you where to get that one. So if you go to the Anypoint platform, so that's the business group that is shown. That's also because I have only one business group. That's my master group. And that's the one which we will use. And I have copy pasted it here inside.
Now you need to enter the authentication. So your username and your password.
So I have created a temporary user for today for the deployment, which is API force and the password. And of course, after this session, I will remove the user again.
Great. And then, we don't need a vault key. The region you are deploying it to?
The region should be EU Central 1. No, it's not EU Central 1. I am on the US plane.
Yeah.
So we just need to get the US plane. Let me remove this first. And then let's go back and check the, okay, now we need to check the US plane.
Yeah, so in the background, those are the AWS regions. Where do we have them?
In the meantime, I will remove, because we are not on the EU region, I will also remove from the links that we have EU1, because this is of course only if you use the EU plane. In my case, I'm using the US plane, so I will remove that. We will anyway not use these links, but that's okay. We will leave them here. So what else? Number of workers we can leave as 1. That's fine. Worker type micro, which is the smallest one, 0.1 workers. We will leave it as well. Connected apps client ID and secret. This is what we are not using today, so I can leave it there, but they will anyway not be used, as we are using today as authentication approach. We are using a simple anypoint user and the password, which I've already provided here. But as already explained by Andreas, in the future we will then, or when we work on a more mature model, CI/CD model, we will use client ID and secret instead. And the last one is skip test. So we are in this simple application, we have anyway no munit flows configured. So we will also not do any tests, but anyway, this is something that we have to provide in a more mature model, when we also do munit tests, which we will definitely do in the next session, but we will also leave it here when now deploying the application from the terminal. So I think the only thing that is missing now is the region. So we just need to make sure that we have the right region from the MuleSoft platform.
Yeah, and this is US-1. Quickly verify it. I'm looking for the documentations, if we see somewhere like an overview of the regions, but I'm not sure if we can. If you MuleSoft deployment regions, then you should be able to see it.
Yeah, sometimes this information is a little bit hard to find, so I think it's good if we can then also provide this information later in the description.
Yeah. Okay. So it's US. Let's take US-East-1.
US East 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So now we have the region, and yeah, we have all the other things. Okay. All right. So and then the last command is the skip test. So we don't have any unit tests implemented now. So we will just skip them. So let's give it a try. So if you open up the terminal and you change the directory.
Yeah, I am inside the directory, as you can see. So we have here also the POM file, which is, if I just check the content, which is that we have configured. So we should have everything inside. Let me clear that and paste the command, which is Maven deploy Mule deploy, which is the parameter that we need to deploy to Cloudhub. So let's give it a try and see what is going to happen. Okay, first downloading all the dependencies.
So it will build the application.
it looks like a deployment is already started. So it's showing deploying artifacts, creating applications, starting applications. So now, if we go to any point platform, we should see that the application has already, or should be in deployment mode, which it is, which is good.
Yeah. And there we can also see the region where we deployed it. So if you go back,
it's also showing here in the logs.
Exactly.
US East, but also for next time, if you have existing applications, in the end here we see region EU Frankfurt. I mean, we can even deploy to another region, which is completely fine. But as I am using the US region, we should stay and be consistent here. So with US East, this is totally fine.
And that's maybe also good to know. So if you use the EU control plane, you can, the control plane is running in Frankfurt in the data center of AWS. And you can still choose if you want to deploy the runtime plane to Ireland or to Germany. And if you deploy it, for example, on 2 workers, the application by default, the workers will be deployed in different regions in order to guarantee the high availability and also disaster recovery. So if one of the data centers will start burning, for example, you still have the other data center in the other region, which can take the calls for the API. All right, now we can see that the application has started successfully on Cloudhub, and we can now.
The application has started. If we check the logs, so we have, it says your application has started. Everything is looking fine.
So now you should be able to call it as well.
It's API not giving me back anything, so that's always. Now the good interesting part is to debug the application. So if we go back to the Mule app on any point platform, we go to our listener, and we can see that our listener basically has the simple path called API, which I've provided in the browser, is correct. We're using 8081, which is fine because that's being mapped to the public port 80 when we call an HTTP endpoint. And let me just go back to the application again.
Do you have any VPC set up with dedicated load balancer? Because but that's not the problem. Then it's clear why it's not reachable because we probably have like other ports assigned to the dedicated load balancer. But now for the deployment part is fine. We don't need to call the API on Cloudhub. If it deploys, is fine.
And yeah, exactly. Let me show, because this is what we did in one of our last sessions where I have shown how to configure public versus private APIs. So what has happened? Why is this API not available and giving us back a 502? Because it is available only from within the VPC, so only basically in the Mule network. So when I click on Runtime Manager, I am now logged in with my other deployment user that has limited permissions to the endpoint platform. But basically, so the VPC, all the APIs that have been deployed within the VPC cannot be called directly from public internet, but only through the dedicated load balancer. So I have a dedicated load balancer that has been configured, but I have not added any mapping rules. So there is no way of directly calling the API which has been now deployed to my VPC, so it's automatically a private API, which is a really nice way of securing your APIs and making them only internally available. But this is out of scope of this session, so I cannot show you how from the browser to call the API, which is totally fine. I think in general, we need to focus on the CICD part. The application has been deployed. As we can see in the log files, everything was quite smooth. And I think now we can skip or go to the part where we do exactly the same using Git Actions, right?
Exactly. So now the next step, so we don't want to deploy it from the terminal, we want to deploy it from Git Actions. So exactly. So we will, now what you can see here is our repository, which we created for our Mule application. And we usually recommend per Mule application one repository. And in here, so the first thing you can do, you can click on the tab Actions on the top of it.
I think before I click on Actions, what I see here, we have made a change to our POM file. And this change is at the moment only on my local machine. So let me go and first push that change. Okay, so we'll do git add all so that everything can be pushed. And let me do a git commit with a comment updated POM file. Okay, and now let's push it. Git push origin master. And now we should see the change here that should be now up to date on Git. 16 seconds ago, if we click on the POM file, yeah, and now we can see that the changes have been added to the POM file. So I think we are good to go now. Okay, you said I should click on Actions. Okay.
Yeah. So now you can click on Simple Workflow. So we will be creating a simple workflow for our repository. What you can see here, it's already using a default YAML template, and we will be overriding it. And first of all, you can give it a name. And for the dev environment, we want to deploy it on push. So you can maybe name it dev on push in the naming at the top of it.
Okay, so push on branches. I think master branch is okay, right? Because we are using the master branch.
You just need to change the name first. In the very top, you can see it.
This name?
A little bit more up on the.
This one.
Yeah, exactly.
One. Okay.
Yeah. You can dev dash on push, so we can really differentiate the environment and then what the trigger is. So now you can give it a name. So maybe name it also deployment to Cloudhub on push. This will be the name of our Git Actions. Exactly. So now the second thing, so this is the trigger which we define. You can delete on pull request because we're not going to use it. If you look up the documentation on GitHub, so there are a lot of triggers which you can directly configure here. So now for the other parts, you can go back to the snippet.
Okay.
And you can copy exactly so this entire part. So from Cloudhub, from the environment until the
everything.
Everything, yeah.
And now I can copy it. What about this workflow dispatch?
You can.
Can I also override it?
Yes, you can override it. So you can override everything exactly. Copy it in there. And now, so in the first part, you can delete the environments. So we will be adding it afterwards. Yeah, the password, I will anyways then change it.
Exactly. So let's replace those values with the one from my application. Okay, so application name, I can just take the one, I mean, we can keep it simple. I can use this application name, which we already use when deploying it to Cloudhub. So then my username, which I have in my snippet file, which is here, username is API Force. And then the password, and I don't need to provide it in single quotes. It looks like it's not required. Okay, that's good. Business group, mine is, as we have already changed, which is good. Application, so artifact name, we can also keep it, right? Like application name.
So this will be the name which Git Actions will store in the Artifactory, but yeah, you can name it the same way.
Okay, so then we have exactly the AnyPoint environment, in my case in capital dev properties. We have properties defined in the application, but we are currently not using it, so we can leave it. We set worker type micro, that's fine. One worker, US plain. Vol keys we do not have, so I can maybe just put some empty strings.
Yeah, you can delete the ID and secrets, so we don't need those.
Secrets we don't need.
Yeah, and the URI and analytics also.
We can also remove.
So yeah, that's something that we used to have in the previous versions, but we don't need it anymore.
Okay.
Exactly. So those are the environment properties which we use. And now if you scroll a little bit down, you see the jobs. And we have two basic jobs. The first one is for the build. And if you scroll a little bit down, you're going to see also the deploy job. And we're going to now focus first on the build job. So if you scroll a little bit up, so the build job consists of different steps. We're gonna run, in the line 26, you see we're gonna run it on Ubuntu latest operating machine in order to build it and also to deploy it at the end. So the first step we're gonna do is we're gonna check out the repository, and Git Actions directly provides different actions, which you can see also on the right side in the marketplace. So yeah, you can directly use everything which is available in Git Actions, and one of them is, for example, cache or the checkout, and you can directly see them below the name. So if you write users, you can directly reference to the actions.
That's really nice in the caching part, because this is something that is not part of every CI/CD pipeline, but in general, we highly recommend to cache the dependencies because it will improve your build time. Mule dependencies can be quite, it can take a lot of time to download them, in some cases up to 10, maybe some 10 minutes, even longer, depending on the amount of dependencies that you have. So it's really, really important to cache the dependencies. In this case, what I can see is that we are using the POM file as a reference, so the content of the POM file, hashing it to create like a hash, and then comparing the hash with our cache and see if we have made a change to the POM file. If yes, then of course it will be a new hash. That means for the pipeline to download the dependencies. Again, if it's the same hash value, then for the pipeline, it means, okay, there was no change in the POM file, no dependencies have been added. There is no need to download them again, so we can just simply use the cache and skip the download part, which is a really, really nice way of improving the build time. Cool. So
exactly. And then we're going to inject the variables into the POM file. So the variables which we defined at the top of the YAML, exactly those there. And then we will be setting up the JDK running on version 1.8 in order to build the Mule application. We will then print all the different settings. So this part is optional, but I usually like to see all the logs. And then we will be running the Maven build command. So it will package the entire application. You also need to define where the POM file is laying in your project. So if the POM file is in a different place, you need to include it in there. And then at the end, we're gonna upload the artifact to the Git Actions artifactory. Exactly. So maybe can you quickly copy the entire deployment part? We will be adding it then afterwards again, but I just want to check if the build part is already working. Exactly. So now you commit it. So on the right hand side, you see a green button. You can give it the default name. That's absolutely fine.
Let's say edit. How is this file called in GitLab? So it's
dev push YAML.
I just added a pipeline configuration file.
Yeah.
File for Git Actions. Okay, and then I can just click
exactly
commit new file.
You commit new file, and what you will see now. So if you go back to the repository on the parent folder, now you can see it created a folder called .github workflows, and in there are YAMLs lying. And if we have different pipelines, you're going to see all the different pipelines in there. So, for example, QA on push or prod on pull request. So now it should automatically trigger the build. If you go on Actions, you see that this pipeline is running. Yeah, and now you can click on the pipeline. And at the moment, we only have one step in there, right? So it's only the build. And if you open up the build, you should be able to see all the different steps which we configured. So yeah, maybe if you close the print settings quickly, close this one. Yeah. So now you see all the different steps, which, I mean, we gave it the name, right? Check out repository branch, check out cache. And if you open up, for example, check out repository branch, at the top, yeah, you see the action command which it run, and then you see different logs in there. So if something fails, the error will be displayed here. And as we can see now, at the very bottom, so it's building the application, and you can see there the job is completed. And now we should be able to see the artifact. So if you go one page back, or you click on Actions,
Actions, and then on the pipeline.
Yeah, on the pipeline.
Or workflow,
yeah. Now you can see here the artifacts with the name. And usually we have a different name for the artifact. So we have semantic versioning there, but that's something you can add also to the properties. Perfect. So the build already worked, and now we're going to add the deployment to our pipeline. So
I just go back to the repository, right? And then I can directly change, I guess, here this file.
Exactly. You go into this file, you can edit it. There is the pencil.
Here, okay, I can edit the file.
Yeah.
And then I should have still this part, which I can paste. One question. Here we have something.
I think you have one tab.
Okay, I need
the tab.
So now it should be correct. One question, because in our environments, we have, of course, hard-coded them, which is a really simple way just to show them how it works. But I guess GitHub has something like environments management where you can do this, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So I can maybe quickly show it. So if you go to the settings,
because of course, let me first cancel my changes, and then let's go back to settings.
So now on the left side, you can see environments, for example. And here you can create different environments and include different properties into environments. We're going to do that later on. Okay. And what you can also see is on the left security, you see secrets.
Secrets,
yes. Exactly. Actions. And what you can do here is you can create different secrets for the different environments. And the secrets which you add here, you can directly reference in your Git action file.
Okay.
Which is really easy. So it's just like curly brackets, 2 curly brackets, and you can directly reference it from the secret. So you can store the secrets, for example, the vault key in here, and you can directly use it then in your pipeline, which is very nice.
Okay, cool.
So if you go now to Actions, you open up the pipeline again, and you add you need to go on the edit.
Okay. Can I edit it directly from here, or maybe I need to go back?
You need to go back,
Go back to the file, and then now edit here. And we said we will now do the deployment. So let me tab. So
yeah. So yeah, if you go through the deployment again, yeah, we will check out the branch. It will again check if it's cached, or yeah, if something is cached, it should run smoothly, and then it will download the artifact from the artifactory, as you can see there, so directly from Git Actions, and it will be using the name, so the artifact name which we defined before. And then the only difference we have here is the deployment step. So we will be running the deploy command and quickly check this command. So
I think that we can copy here the command that we used in the terminal, right? Which I had here.
Yes, but I mean, in here you have the plain properties, and if you go back, you see it's placeholders, it's variables which we are using here because they are already referenced at the top of the YAML, right?
We've referenced them here.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So if you go a little bit down, yeah, just to check. So we have username, password is fine, environment, workers, yeah, platform ID and secret you can delete, and the base URI and the base URI analytics as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are the 4 which we don't use. Yeah.
So here he says environment.anypoints environment, and he's okay, of course, yes. Here environment.anypoints environment. Okay, yeah. It's quite straightforward in Git. I like that Git action so far. Okay.
And the environment, if you have different environments, it will be directly selecting the right environment.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, now you can do another commit.
Right.
Say added
deployment step in Git Actions workflow.
Okay, now you can directly commit the changes.
And now go back to Actions.
Yeah, you can go back to Actions. Yeah.
Update there.
So yeah, in here you see now we have another step, which is the deployment. Now it's starting with the build again. So we are expecting to run smoothly through the build, and then
okay, he started the build again.
Yeah, exactly. He always does both of the steps.
And it really worked nicely. The check if something was cached, I can see that he has identified that also we made no change, cache size 31 megabytes, and he has restored the cache successfully from this hash key. So that means we have skipped the download parts, and it took only a couple of seconds instead of minutes, and we are already in the deployment step.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the cache is through, exactly, and now it already downloaded the artifact, and as you can see here, it's already deploying with the Maven plugin to Cloudhub. Yeah, I mean, you can also, if you don't want to see all the logs, you can just close this tab of the deployment. Yeah, this is a little bit overwhelming.
Let me go back. But the deployment has started, so that means we should hopefully see soon here a redeployment that should be triggered on the Anypoint platform. Okay, let's go back.
This usually takes a few minutes of the deployment. So in my experience, I think it's like between 5 to 8 minutes. Maybe if you go, now you can see. And if you go on to the logs,
okay, perfect.
You see it's already deployed here. Yeah.
Cool, that's really nice, the Git workflow. Using it for the very first time today. Worked a lot with Jenkins, also GitLab and so on, but never with Git Action. Is this something new, or when has Git Actions been released? Do you know that?
No, I don't know it, but I think it's not new.
Okay.
So I have already some customers using Git Actions. Yeah. So what we can do in the meantime, we could add environments, or at least secrets. Oh no, we could do the app we could remove the username and the password, and we could add a connected app.
Okay. So we used so far the endpoint user and password, which we usually do not recommend, because then you have to create a user on any point platform just to handle the deployment. It is possible, as you can see, MuleSoft provides that possibility in the POM file, but we always recommend to use connected apps where you can manage the scope of the connected app and can easily revoke access to the platform by just changing the scope. So that means that I will now go, because I am logged in with the deployment user. So let me just sign out and log in with my admin user, and then we can just create a connected app. I think that I should already have some connected apps that I have configured for Jenkins. So we can use that one. So it's on access management, connected apps. And then, we have, as you can see, a connected app. I have created one for Jenkins deployer. So we can use this one. So I will copy the client ID and secret for now. Just let me go back here. Copy the ID. And I will directly do it now. So I can do it now in Anypoint Studio and then push it. But I can, of course, also do it now, I think, just to make it really simple, directly here in the repository, just edit the POM file. Okay, so that means here, instead of username and password, what do we have to provide for client ID and secret?
So you can now replace the username with connected app client ID.
Client ID.
Exactly. So the first word in capital. That's nice. And then connected app client secret.
Okay.
And you need to add as well connected app grant type.
Okay.
So you need to add another line.
Connected app grant type.
Yeah, like that.
Is this correct? Like that?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And do I need to put something in between?
Yes. So you need to add client underline credentials.
Credentials.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something you can also find in the MuleSoft docs. So if you use the connected app, and then you need to replace also the variable. So you replace it with connected app client ID and connected app client secret.
Capital I. And here we will just say,
connected app
secret
client secret. Yes.
Okay.
So now you can.
Of course, when I now save it, it will trigger the pipeline, and that will fail. But I think we can ignore it for the first time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then changed deployment.
Or changed authentication to connected app.
To connected app credentials. Okay.
We can commit it.
Commit the change.
And now we need to add this property also to our pipeline. So if you go back to Git Actions,
so the workflow, push, and here we have to change that. So this one we will not use anymore, right? So we can just, as you said, I think I have it already here. Connected app client ID. And this will be
client secret.
So now I can copy paste the values. So don't be confused with Jenkins employer. This is one which I already had, but you can name it, of course, GitHub deployer. Usually we create 2 connected apps for each environment type. So for pre-prod, 1 connected app, and for prod, another connected app. So now let me add here the connected app client ID and then connected app secret. Of course, I will delete the connected app after this session. So now we have both provided. Do I need to change it somewhere else?
Yes, so in the deploy step.
In the build, I don't have to do anything, right? Because we are not referencing it?
No, it's just at the very bottom, yeah. So you need to add it here as well.
Okay, here we said that's not username anymore, but this is connected app.
Yeah.
Client ID.
Yeah. Connected app client secret.
And this one is connected app client ID. Yeah. This one is secret. This one is with the capital.
Yes.
Okay. So now we have replaced the username and password in connected.
So it's also important. So if you go back on the Anypoint platform, so for the connected app you created, that you define the right scope and the right permissions. Because most of the time the deployment fails because you don't have the right permissions in scope, and then you will get an authentication error. So make sure that you have here at least like the runtime manager.
So exactly. Create applications, delete is usually not required, but you can also find this part, which scope is required on the MuleSoft documentation when using the connected app. But very often it happens that we use connected apps, but then somehow you get a 401 or 403, like permissions, missing permissions, or using wrong credentials. So always cross-check if your scope is correct. In my case, of course, I've checked it already a couple of times and using it for Jenkins, so the scope is good. Okay, so I can now commit that change, right?
You can commit it, and then it will directly trigger the pipeline again.
Placed, deploy, over to connect and credentials. Commit change. There should be one pipeline which has failed. Yes, of course, this one, because we just changed the POM file without changing the workflow.
Maybe if you have a look into the errors. So just to show the audience, so you see build was successful, but deployment, the credentials were missing, and now you can see also in here, some deployment errors and
unauthorized.
Unauthorized, exactly. Okay, so now, if you go back, so Git Actions.
Back to Git Actions. This one is still work in progress. So the build was successful. Now, let's see if the client credentials were configured correctly. Okay, waiting for a runner. So what I know from GitLab is that there are public or GitLab runners that you can use. So they are shared with other, of course, customers. That means that you can, in some cases, you have to wait because they are maybe being used by another pipeline from another customer, other projects, which because of course it's a shared service. You can have dedicated runners in GitLab. Not sure how it is with GitHub. They must have something similar.
Yeah, it's similar. So you have shared runners, and you need to wait until some of them is available.
Okay. So we are here waiting for a shared runner which is available to pick up the job. Okay.
So in the meantime, I would suggest the last step that we are doing today. If you go back to the pipeline.
Let me go back to.
So in here, you see that the connected app client ID and the secret are plain, and we don't want to have them plain. We want to have them in the secret manager. So you can copy them.
Can I just copy the value or everything? What should I copy?
Yeah, I will copy both of it. Yeah.
And
So
let me put it in my
Yeah.
here. Okay.
So now what you can do is you can go back on the pipeline, and instead of the value, you write $, 2 curly brackets.
Oops.
And you write secrets dot and connected app client ID. Yep.
And the same for
And the same for
okay.
the secret. So we are now referencing to the secret manager of Git Actions. Exactly. Yeah, now you need to commit it.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It will be running the pipeline then twice. It's fine.
Okay, so replaced plain text secret with a secrets property, huh?
Yes.
Is okay. Commit change.
Now you can go to settings. You click on secrets, actions. Now you add another secret repository. Yeah. Now you need to give it the name. So
because we're using in our case a connected app, which is for pre-prod environment. I mean, we could do it per environment, or we can do it for in pre-prod in general. Let's just do it something like pre-prod.
Yeah, okay. It's fine.
This is now for each secret, or
no? This is now for each secret. So you need to add the ID and the so the names you had before.
So this is connected
exactly.
client ID.
You
and this is the value. Okay, and now I can add the secret.
Exactly. Now you need to add another one.
Okay.
I mean, those are now general secrets which we configured. What you can do as well is if here there is environment secrets as well.
Okay.
So those are then based on the environment, but the client app ID and the secret. I mean, you can decide. You can either store it generally, or you can do it per environment.
I think if you use two connected apps like pre-prod and prod, then you need to most likely create an environment called pre-prod and one for prod. In our case, because we keep it really simple, we can just create them as global variables. Okay.
I'm just noticing that it added it as capital.
So we have also to change it, right, in the workflow.
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will probably not recognize.
The other one, let me go back on the platform. If the old change that we did is working, because we should be deploying, which is fine. Okay, so this is working. So now we have to go back to the workflow and replace and do this change. It should be capital. So this one or this one?
No, this one.
This one.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the left one, so the key is what we are using then in the deployment command.
Okay. And the same I have to do in the deployment.
Yes.
Section. Okay.
No. Sorry, you don't, because this one here is referencing to the key in the properties.
This referencing, of course.
This
exactly.
Exactly. Okay. So that's fine. So you can commit this one now.
Okay, updated secrets. Commit change.
Yes.
And now let's check the pipeline.
You can maybe stop the other pipeline. So if you go on the 3 dots on the right-hand side.
Okay. This is anyway finishing now. Should be.
Because
it's deploying. So that's a successful one. But I think this one failed, of course, because we were missing the secrets, and this one has already started. Yeah. Okay. The build. So now we check if the deployment will be successful, and I would say for today it's the last step. So
We created a good base for our CI/CD pipeline. So we have one build step, we have one deployment step, and we externalized the secrets into the secret manager so that they are not in plain in our repository or on Git. And we configured an on-push trigger. So every time we push something to our master branch, in our example, it will directly trigger the entire pipeline.
Okay, cool. So, and because I see that GitHub has this Artifactory, is this something that you can compare with like the Artifactory services like Nexus and does it mean we do not need Nexus anymore and we can use GitHub instead or?
Yeah, exactly. You could use the GitHub Artifactory. So you can store all your artifacts there and it's on the same platform, which is very nice. Yeah, now in the next step, we would set up also a QA environment, and the difference you can see there is then we're going to have different YAML files, and one of the YAMLs will be triggered on pull request instead of push. But that's something we're going to show you then in the next session.
I think the difference between like an Artifactory like Nexus or JFrog or whatever Artifactory you use in GitHub is that GitHub is something more focused on just for your workflows, because in the end, when you have an Artifactory, an external one, you want to manage your dependencies and basically add them to your POM file, you know, like, because in the end, those are Maven dependencies that you can easily add here in your POM file, and you can say, give me, here, for example, I have this Mule connector, but I could say, give me a Mule app, okay, which I can also add as a dependency. Then this is something that you cannot do with the Artifactory from Git Actions, right? Because Git Actions would need to provide you these Maven settings, which is not the case. So this Maven or this GitHub Artifactory, I guess, is just used for the workflows, which is still nice to see that. Why is it not shown here now, the artifact?
You need
missing.
You need to go to the build step.
It's
inside, yeah.
Because
no, it should be here.
Here it said upload artifact. It was successful.
Can you go back?
Maybe we have to go one back to a higher level.
Oh yeah, it's no. So if you go now into the build, range should be showing it here at the bottom.
Yeah.
Can you go on one of the previous?
Yes. Let's go to the last one, which runs successfully. So we have it here.
Okay, that's strange.
And that's fine. I can even delete it. Good. And now this one where it failed, it's also showing because the build was successful.
Yeah.
Then here is
so this one I cancelled.
This one you canceled.
But yeah, I mean,
it's still there. And then we have the latest one. We have. I think that we just have to wait until the workflow finishes,
it could be.
And then it will be published here or visible.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see on Cloudhub if we see already something, because it should be able to deploy it. Yeah.
Okay. So far, I like GitHub Actions. It's it was not really hard to set up. Of course, I got a snippet from you, but what we will also do is this application or this repository is available to the public. It's a public repository, so we will add this link into the YouTube description. It has already this workflow configuration inside, so play around with it. And if there are any questions, something is not clear, just don't hesitate to make a comment, and we will definitely build on top of it now, and the goal is to have a more mature pipeline or workflow, right?
Just maybe verify quickly on Cloudhub if the application is successful. Yeah, now it just started. All right. Okay, then I would say we close this session and see you the next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.